Once again, I'm Daniel Adaze. Great to have you with us. Now, Ghana Post has rubbished reports suggesting it intends to lay off about 90 of its staff for their lack of appreciation of the latest technology trends. So why did this come up in the first place, and for what purpose? Ifya Kobi-Hima is the Public Relations Officer of Ghana Post. She joins us on the phone with the latest. Good afternoon, Ifya, and thanks for joining us. Why would anyone come up with a report like this in the first place? And are you sure there isn't any plan of such to lay off staff?
We are very sure that there are no plans to lay off our staff. We are very sure. But Ghana Post, now we've introduced e-commerce, e-service, and other services that rely on ICT. But our entire supply chain process entails processes or things that does not use internet. So apart from technology being part of the things we are doing now, we are still doing things manually.
But is that tenable for an organization like Ghana Post?
I didn't hear you.
I'm saying that if you're doing things manually, is it tenable for an organization like Ghana Post?
Yeah, so we have things like e-commerce, e-service, digital address system that we rely on technology to do. But you know that we deliver items and packing, sorting of mails, everything. We don't need technology to do that.
Right.
And
so
we have trained our staff. So majority of our staff now can also use ICT. Since October, with the introduction of the digital address system, I think we also started doing things digitally. Now even our motor riders have tracking system that we can track them to know where they are, and some even accept electronic payments.
So what you're saying is that you're building capacity of staff to ensure that they are up to date with the technology trends?
Absolutely.
Great. We know that usually with some tasks, when technology is introduced into an organization, some staff become redundant.
It's been a year since Ghana Post went digital, and we are still with our workers. Majority of them have caught up. Some are still ongoing, and it's not like everything we are doing is technology.
Well, that is true, but when technology is introduced into an organization, it often becomes the case that sometimes the people who used to do the work are not needed anymore. Do you foresee any of this coming up as you introduce e-commerce, digital addressing in your activities?
I think what I can say is that it's not like we stop the services we are providing and we are now going to do everything digital. Everything that we are doing now that involves technology is an add-on services. So our traditional operations are there, but you believe that nationwide or worldwide, everything is now digital. So we need to beef up, spice up. So we spice up our service. We added other things to it. That does not mean that the traditional things we do, we are no more doing.
Thank you very much, Ifya Kobi-Hima. She speaks for Ghana Post. Let's move to other issues, and thousands have gathered in front of the Ochehene's palace at Chebi to witness a historic visit of the Asantehene to Chebi as part of the 75th anniversary of the late Ochehene Osajifo Oforiatta. Among the other dignitaries are top security officials, members of parliament, ministers of state, and other traditional leaders. The Asantehene Otumfuo Osei Tutu II was earlier taken round the palace to inspect traditional relics and artifacts of the Achim Kingdom by Osajifo Amwetia Ofori-Penning. Let's go live to Erastus Asaridonko, who is our man on the ground for the latest. Erastus, what is happening now at the Ofori-Penning Fair?
Currently, we are having the paramountcies trooping in their numbers from both sides. We have chiefs from the Achim area also coming in. We have as much as 21 the region, also clad in their traditional robe, also fully represented. We have a number of dignitaries filling the presidential days. And what is lacking now is that we are waiting for the Asantehene also forces to sit in state. A short while ago, he was taken on an inspection tour of the Otehene's palace. Quite a number of traditional relics and documents dating back centuries have been outlined there, and so he was taken through a number of them. And so currently, everybody is seated. It's quite a crowd here. Thousands of people are thronging in here just to catch a glimpse of this historic visit. And so we are waiting for the ushering in of the Otehene's itself, and then it will be followed by the Asantehene, and then we'll have the president of the land, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, also entering, and then the program will start in earnest. So that is what is happening at the moment, drumming and dancing and show of traditional regalia and traditional history as well.
Do we know what time the ceremony is expected to begin?
Come again.
Do we know what time the ceremony is expected to begin?
Well, on the program lineup, we're supposed to start around 1 p.m. And so currently, we are still waiting. The ushering in of the Asantehene is 2 p.m. And so when he takes the seat, the president is expected to arrive around 1 p.m. And that is when he takes the seat, then we'll start the program in earnest. So we are still within time range, and we are expecting him to troop to the stadium, to the Otehene's Palace, where the event is gathering momentum.
Thank you very much, Erastus Tasaridonko, for joining us now. We'll come back to you during the day when the ceremony actually begins. Now, a baseline study conducted by the Community Development Alliance has revealed that several state officials are involved in the smuggling of subsidized fertilizer to neighboring Burkina Faso. Executive Director of the local non-governmental organization, Salifu Isifo Canton, is worried this practice won't stop till government conducts a thorough audit into the program. Rafiq Salam reports from WA.
The fertilizer subsidy program, launched in 2015, aimed at enhancing food production and security. The program targets smallholder farmers cultivating maize, rice, sorghum, and millet with priority on food crop, and farmers registered under recognized companies, as well as cotton farmers operating under recognized nucleus farmers. The program is part of government's effort to boost agricultural activities, to increase food production, and enhance incomes of farmers in a move to help Ghana achieve the Sustainable Development Goal 2, which focuses on hunger eradication. However, local farmers have repeatedly complained about inaccessibility to their manure during farming seasons, while local media and civil society organizations report of a syndicate of smugglers who smuggle it through unapproved routes into neighboring countries. Based on the aforementioned, a local non-governmental organization, Community Development Alliance, CDA, with support from Advance, conducted baseline study in 2 districts in the Upper West region, namely Sisala West and Lamuse districts, to ascertain the truth or otherwise of the spurious allegation. Programs Officer of CDA, Suleiman Abipo, at a breakfast meeting in Wa, attended by media practitioners, laid bare the report of the baseline study, which revealed widespread smuggling of the commodity into neighboring Burkina Faso.
Smuggling of subsidized fertilizer is free for all in this district. It looks like fertilizer has a diplomatic passport because we see it being smuggled out of the country and no one stops it. So they see it's moving like nobody's business. So that is somebody's quote of how they saw the smuggling.
Executive Director of CDA, Salifu Isifo Canton, throwing more light on the baseline study, said the revelation is damning and called for a thorough audit of the program.
Whilst we commend government for taking the bold initiative to implement this policy,
We however think that there are serious lapses in the implementation, which is costing the government to lose the taxpayers' money. So we think for us to be able to find out where the leakages are, we will need an audit. And that audit should be comprehensive to the regional levels. What are the quantities that have come in? To the district level, what quantities came in and who did you distribute to? Those are the critical questions that we need to address. Until we do so, it will be like we are pouring water into a leaking basket.
Mr. Canton also called for stringent measures to deal with the perpetrators of the act, including mounting surveillance on MOFA staff and some state officials who have been accused of being the masterminds behind the smuggling of the commodity.
Fertilizer was like we're producing it in the Upper West region. And you hear the political commentators saying all kinds of things about it. But that was a failing. Because the moment there is a glut, some districts didn't even have warehouses to put them. For me, let the media hold our DCEs and MCEs accountable and to ensure that this stealing doesn't continue.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
Still watching Joy News today. I am Daniel Daze. Still up ahead in the bulletin, former President Mahama has gone to the party headquarters, that's the NDC headquarters, to declare his intention to run for the flag bearership position of the party in the 2020 elections. We'll be back shortly with the details of that. Thanks for staying with us. Now, former President Mahama has gone to the NDC headquarters to declare his intention to contest for the flag bearership of the National Democratic Congress. Our correspondent Parker Wilson is on the line to speak to us. Mr. Wilson, was former President Mahama there in person to declare his intention? Hello, Parker.
Yeah, hello, Daniel.
Right, Parker, we want to know if former President Mahama was himself there to declare his intention in person.
Daniel, I'm struggling to hear you, but if you're asking what's the mood at the NDC headquarters, I can tell you that it's an exciting mood here at the NDC national headquarters, where scores of NDC supporters have gathered here. Now, I should say that a while ago, a team led by Ambassador Ohene Jakum submitted a letter of intent formed by the former President John Dramani Mahama to declare his intention to leave the NDC. And so all these supporters who had gathered here singing and chanting were here to support the team go through that process. And so they submitted it, and then Ambassador Ohene Jakum, when he was speaking to the national executives, telling them why they were here, indicated that John Dramani Mahama has reflected and he is ready and willing to win the elections for the NDC, and that is why he has put himself forward to be elected by members of the NDC and also Ghanaians.
Thank you very much, Parker Wilson, for that report. We'll come back to you when there's more. Now, moving on to other stories. Eggs have for centuries remained an essential part of human diet for their high-quality protein. But does it matter to you whether the egg you consume is from a local free-range bird, as they say, or the confined commercial type? Findings by students at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST, gives a clue as to why it should matter to you. He found free-range eggs contain more essential nutrients and less toxic metals than commercial breeds. On Tech Thursday, Love FM's Kwesi Deborah speaks with final year chemistry student and author of the study, Ibano Kofiedu.
Baseline levels of essential minerals as well as toxic elements in eggs have become important. It's because deficiency or otherwise of these elements can affect functioning of the human body. For instance, essential minerals are needed for blood production, the body's defense system, to proper growth and development. Emmanuel sought to evaluate essential and toxic elements in free-range and poultry eggs in the Joso Jabe municipality of the Ashanti region.
there has been a perception that eggs produced by poultry birds are of much quality than those produced by the local birds. Okay, some also say those produced by the local birds are of much better quality than the poultry birds.
He analyzed 6 metals, 3 essentials comprising iron, copper, and zinc, as well as 3 toxic metals, lead, chromium, and cadmium. The young researcher found the free-range eggs had much higher essential elements and lowered toxic metals than modern poultry eggs.
The toxic elements are much concentrated in the poultry beds, and you find out that the concentration of the toxic elements, like the cadmium, was less in the local eggs, and much of the elements were concentrated in the egg yolk.
There's a bright side to the exotic poultry eggs, as the heavy metals are found to leach after boiling. Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
Now, away from that, government has accused the minority in parliament of deliberately courting disaffection from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, by demanding clarification on the $2 billion bauxite deal. Information Minister Designate Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah argues the NDC MPs could have asked for information from government if they had the interest of the nation at heart. Parliament a month ago approved an amount of $500 million for Phase 1 of the deal that will see roads constructed by Chinese company Sino-Hydro, with government paying back with bauxite. The minority wants the deal captured as a loan agreement, forcing its leader, Haruna Idrisu, to demand clarification from the IMF. But speaking on the Super Morning Show on Joy FM, Mr. Oppong-Nkrumah said the NDC MPs are acting in bad faith.
A judgment creditor doesn't mean he has lent money necessarily to somebody. So the use of the word debtor and creditor in the document is the open definition of those words. An entity that owes a debt or who is indebted, an entity that has a claim on the service of another is a creditor. And we explained all of these ones to them in Parliament. So for you at this time, when we finished and Parliament has passed a resolution to this effect, you know the President is just a few weeks away from going to China to complete what's left of the transaction, and then you write this Nicodemously to the IMF, is something that smacks of bad faith. Now, number 2, the real objective of the minority is not an innocent asking of questions. I was listening to the Honorable Haruna Idrisu very well, and he says that there's a potential for debt distress. They are compelled to write to an independent arbiter to have an understanding of the conflict in the thoughts of government. I was transcribing his words. Let nobody be deceived. This action by the minority has a real motive behind it. It is indeed an attempt to nudge the IMF to object to the transaction. So if you want further and better particulars,
you feel it should have come to the government?
Today, the Constitution gives you the right to write to the... And I know that the minority has written to the Finance Minister requesting information on other things. If you want further and better particulars, you write to the government of Ghana saying that perhaps I want clarification on X or Y or Z.
Now, Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu also had his response.
When the government closed the year on 2017, I wrote formally to the Minister for Finance for some information.
Charlie, but why did you move from that story?
On how the year closed. I'm yet to have a formal response to that letter. I'll make a copy available to you. So, for my colleague to describe this as Nicodemus, it is the intransigence. They insist is better, and we insist is a loan. And as let me quote, I'm holding the mid-year fiscal policy review of the 2018 budget statement economic policy presented to Parliament 19 July 2018 by Minister for Finance, Honorable Ken Oforiatta, and then read this. Mr. Speaker, I would like to assure this august House that the $2 billion worth of infrastructure to be provided by Sino-Hydro will not add to the debt stock. So the quagmire that we are seeking as a minority to resolve is whether this $2 billion will increase the debt stock for Ghana or not.
Away from that issue, the Evangelical Presbyterian Church Ghana, EPHG, has refuted allegations by the Joint Consultative Committee indicating the church has embarked on a campaign to preach against the creation of the proposed Oti region out of the Volta region. At a presser in Ho on Tuesday, the Very Reverend Seth Tenyo Agidi said the division of the region will not in any way affect administration and operations of the church worldwide. Hence, the church would not involve itself in the politics surrounding the process.
The Very Reverend Seth Tenyo Agidi stressed the EP Church will continue to maintain a politically neutral stance in its service to humanity in all circumstances.
Across us that there's a news item going by a group calling themselves Joint Committee of OT Region. That the EP Church, the leadership of the EP Church, my very self, are going around educating people not to vote for the OT region, and that we are also forming a separatist group to be independent of the Volta, the Volta region should be independent. And we have called this news, we have called the media to deny and also tell them this is false. We have never engaged in anything like that as a church. Because the church, we don't mingle with politics. We don't do partisan politics, but focus on the propagation of the goodness of Lord Jesus Christ.
He also indicated the church will explore all avenues available to clear its name, including a court action.
Well, the matter is with our lawyers at the moment. Today, the council of the church is meeting, and we'll wait for their advice. We'll not rule out court action, and if the media house, which is Peace FM, come out to apologize, we may consider it. But without it, there are so many other options that is left to the church to clear the church's name.
Meanwhile, the Electoral Commission has announced December 7 for the referendum on the creation of the new regions and slated between 26th to 25th September for the limited voters registration exercise and exhibition towards the referendum. Fred Kwame Asari's report for Joy News.
Still watching Joy News today. Now, 3 varieties of groundnuts and 1 soybean variety are under testing as the Savannah Agricultural Research Institute, SARI. If gazetted, it would be introduced into the market as the latest variety with huge potential to increase yield by 25% for groundnut and 50% more yield for soybean than current varieties. The groundnut varieties GAF 1723, which will be known as Sarinut 1, and GAF 1665 to be called Sarinut 3, ICGV-IS as Sarinut 2, and soybean TGX 1844-22E to be called USIL 18, when gazetted, has been in the laboratory for over 2 years now and have had clearance for the first 4 stages of inspection.
Speaking to Joy News, lead research scientist Dr. Nicholas Ninju Denwa said the leaf spot disease is one of the headaches of farmers because it attacks the leaf with dry sap. But with a new variety, it will be able to withstand the disease.
Very much. This research that we've done is about introducing leaf spot resistance into the groundnut varieties that we already have. Leaf spot diseases are diseases that destroy the crop and reduce the use of farmers. And then we realized that there were resistant genes in the wild species of groundnut. So we introduced those resistant genes into the cultivated groundnut. So now you can see that these lines are here. They have the resistance, the disease can no longer affect them. And therefore farmers are going to get higher yields if they cultivate them. So if you look at the yield potential with the current variety that we have, these ones will yield about 20 to 25% more than the current variety that we have. It means if a farmer was getting 10 bags per acre, he will now get about 12 bags per acre, and that is significant.
For the soya bean, he said, not only would it increase yield, it will also make the land fertile for the cultivation of other crops, especially cereals.
Current soybean varieties that we have are Jenguma and Afayak and Sumpung. Now, they are very good varieties as well, but this current variety, it grows much taller, and therefore commercial farmers can use the harvester to harvest without losing their crop. Secondly, it produces so much leaves that it will drop them on the field after they mature, and that will go to increase the soil organic matter of the field. So the following year, the farmer is going to have more yield from his cereal crop like maize or sorghum, because the organic matter is needed or is necessary to improve crop yield. Again, the new variety that we are trying to list is very, very efficacious with artificial inoculants. You know, these are substances that enable the crop to form nodules and fix atmospheric nitrogen. That means that the farmer doesn't need to apply so much nitrogen to be able to get very high yield. So with commercial agriculture, it's going to more than like 50% more yield than the ordinary soybeans.
Dr. Denwa said the soybean crops have been tested in all parts of the country and is suitable for all regions.
Yes, for the soybean, we've tested it across the whole of Ghana. We tested it in the forest zone in Kumasi, Fumiswa in particular. We've tested in the transition zone in Ejura, and we've tested it in Wa, Tumu, Manga, Yendi, Damango, all over the transition and northern belt. So we've done all those tests, and we've realized that it can grow perfectly well in all these areas. So it's a crop not for northern Ghana, it's a crop for the whole Ghana.
National chairman for the Varietal Release and Seed Committee said, Oseya Kutu said the team has made some observations and have asked the researchers to incorporate it in their final document.
They intend releasing granules, 3 varieties of granules, and then 1 variety of soya bean. We did visit the soya bean first. Then secondly, we did the granite second. And then, in terms of looking at the vegetative state, at least, we have some observations which were buttressed by the presentations made by the team when we met. And we have incorporated our observations in terms of suggestions and comments into the work of the scientists, so that when we meet for the second time and they have done all those suggestions, and then you take a decision, and then you can recommend to National Seed Council for gazetting through the Minister of Food and Agriculture.
Earlier in the week, the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, IITA, donated a vehicle to the Savannah Agricultural Research Institute, SARI.
It's now time for business on Joy News Today. I am Daniel Dazeba. Sandra Esenamapenu brings you business.